What if I told you that motivation isn't about luck, talent, or even discipline? What if there was a science behind why some people wake up every day fired up, unstoppable, while others struggle just to take the first step? You know the type, those who push through obstacles like they don't even exist, the ones who turn failures into fuel, who seem to have endless energy while others burn out. What's their secret? It's not magic, it's not willpower, it's a formula. And today, I'm going to break down the exact science behind unstoppable motivation so you can harness it, master it, and never struggle with taking action again. Are you ready? Let's go. Principle 1. The psychology of drive. Motivation is not something that appears out of nowhere. It's rooted deep within the psychology of how we process desire, pain, and reward. At the core of all human action is drive, the force that compels us to move forward, take action, and create results. But where does drive come from? Why do some people seem to have an endless reservoir of energy and determination while others struggle just to get started? The answer lies in how the mind perceives urgency, necessity, and identity. Every decision we make, every action we take is influenced by our internal and external drivers. These are the forces that shape our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Some people are primarily driven by pain avoidance. They take action because they're desperate to escape a situation that's unbearable. Others are driven by pleasure seeking. They move towards something they deeply desire. But here's the key. Both types of motivation work, but they don't work equally. Pain is often the strongest initial motivator. Think about it. When does someone finally decide to make a massive change in their life? It's rarely when things are okay. It happens when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing. A person doesn't lose weight until they look in the mirror and feel disgusted. They don't quit a toxic job until they wake up dreading another soul-sucking day. They don't fix a broken relationship until the fear of losing it outweighs the fear of uncomfortable conversation. This is why hitting rock bottom is often the catalyst for massive transformation. It forces the brain to associate so much pain with inaction that movement becomes the only option. But here's where most people get it wrong. If pain is your only source of motivation, then the moment the pain fades, so does your drive. This is why people relapse, why they lose momentum after achieving initial success. The secret to unstoppable motivation isn't just escaping pain, it's linking your drive to a bigger vision, something that excites you on a deep emotional level. This is where identity comes in. People who sustain long-term motivation don't just chase goals, they become the kind of person who naturally achieves those goals. They don't just try to be fit, they see themselves as an athlete. They don't just force themselves to work harder, they view themselves as someone who thrives under pressure. Identity-based motivation is the most powerful form of drive because it removes the need for constant external motivation. When you are something, you don't have to get motivated to do it. You just do it because that's who you are. The brain is wired to seek efficiency, and motivation is often a battle between the primitive brain, which wants comfort and safety, and the higher self, which craves growth and expansion. The key to unlocking unstoppable motivation is learning how to communicate with your own brain in a way that makes action feel automatic rather than forced. When your mind truly believes that achieving your goals is a life or death necessity, resistance disappears. This is why people in high-stakes situations, whether it's elite athletes, Navy SEALs, or world-class entrepreneurs, operate on an entirely different level of drive. They have trained their psychology to interpret action as non-negotiable. Their mission is bigger than their excuses. They don't allow hesitation or doubt to creep in because they've conditioned their mind to see forward movement as the only option. Understanding the psychology of drive isn't just about knowing these concepts, it's about rewiring your brain to operate from a place of certainty, identity, and urgency. Once you master this, motivation is no longer something you have to chase. It becomes who you are. Principle 2, the power of identity. Who you believe you are dictates everything about how you think, feel, and act. Identity is the core driver of human behavior, more powerful than motivation, discipline, or even external rewards. The way you define yourself, consciously or subconsciously, determines what you do, what you avoid, and what you tolerate. If you want to create unstoppable motivation, you don't start by forcing new habits. You start by shifting your identity at the deepest level. Most people struggle with motivation because they are trying to change their actions without changing who they believe they are. They say, I need to work out more, but in their mind, they still see themselves as someone who hates exercise. They say, I want to be successful, but deep down, they still identify as someone who struggles, who isn't good enough, who doesn't have what it takes. This is why they can push themselves for a short period, but their old identity eventually pulls them back like a rubber band snapping into place. The truth is, we will always act in alignment with who we believe we are. A person who sees themselves as a smoker will struggle to quit, no matter how much willpower they use. But the moment they truly see themselves as a non-smoker, they no longer have to try to quit. It's just who they are. The same principle applies to every aspect of life. The person who identifies as an athlete doesn't need to force themselves to go to the gym. The person who sees themselves as a leader doesn't need motivation to step up and take charge. The person who views themselves as a high performer doesn't procrastinate because action is wired into their identity. Identity is shaped by repetition and reinforcement. Think about a time when you achieved something significant in your life. Maybe you weren't always that person, but at some point you became that person through repeated action. If you've ever learned a skill, built a habit, or transformed an aspect of your life, you didn't just change your behavior, you changed your self-image. And once that happened, the new actions became effortless. The problem is that most people's identities are built by default instead of design. They are shaped by childhood experiences, societal expectations, and past failures. If you were told as a kid that you weren't smart, you might still carry that identity into adulthood, even if it's no longer true. If you failed at something years ago, your mind may have locked onto that identity of not being good enough, even though you have the ability to succeed now. To take control of your motivation, you have to take control of your self-definition. The fastest way to do this is through evidence and reinforcement. Your brain believes what you repeatedly prove to it. If you want to shift your identity, you must start acting as if you are already that person. Not once, not twice, but every single day. Every action you take that reinforces your new identity makes it stronger. Every time you work out, even when you don't feel like it, you reinforce the identity of, I am fit. Every time you show up and push through discomfort, you reinforce, I am disciplined. Every time you refuse to quit, you reinforce, I am relentless. This is why small daily wins are so important. They are not just about getting results. They are about reprogramming your identity. When you start seeing yourself differently, motivation becomes effortless. You don't have to push yourself to act. It becomes automatic. Because when something is part of who you are, there is no longer an internal battle. It's just what you do. Principle 3, neurochemical triggers. Motivation is not just a mindset. It's a chemical process happening inside your brain. Every time you feel driven, energized, or excited to take action, that feeling is fueled by specific neurochemicals that influence your behavior at a biological level. The problem is that most people rely on random motivation, waiting for the right mood to hit them. But the truth is, motivation can be triggered on demand once you understand how to activate the right brain chemicals at the right time. At the center of motivation is dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for desire, drive, and reward-seeking behavior. Dopamine is not just about feeling good, it's the chemical that makes you want to act. Whenever you anticipate something exciting, whether it's winning a competition, achieving a goal, or even just checking off a to-do list item, your brain releases dopamine. This is what creates that rush of energy, that pull to move forward. But here's the secret. Dopamine is not released when you achieve something. It's released in anticipation of achievement. This is why having a clear goal, a vision, and a strong reason before you even start is crucial for sustaining motivation. Dopamine is also triggered by progress, which is why people who track their goals and celebrate small wins stay more motivated than those who don't. Every time you acknowledge progress, no matter how small, your brain rewards you with a dopamine hit, reinforcing the behavior. This is why things like crossing off a task, hitting a milestone, or even visualizing success can instantly make you feel more driven. But the mistake most people make is setting goals that are too big without breaking them down. If your brain doesn't see immediate progress, dopamine levels drop and motivation fades. That's why breaking big goals into small, achievable steps keeps you engaged and prevents burnout. Another powerful neurochemical involved in motivation is norepinephrine, which controls focus, alertness, and energy. Have you ever noticed that when you're truly excited about something, you don't feel tired? That's norepinephrine in action. It works alongside dopamine to sharpen your focus and increase your drive, making it easier to stay locked in on your goals. The best way to activate norepinephrine naturally is through movement, challenge, and urgency. Physical activity, even just a short workout, triggers norepinephrine release, which is why exercise is one of the fastest ways to boost motivation. Similarly, setting a clear deadline or giving yourself a challenge tricks your brain into producing more norepinephrine, increasing your sense of urgency and eliminating procrastination. Then there's endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, which create a sense of euphoria and reduce discomfort. High performers know how to turn struggle into pleasure by hacking their endorphin system. Think about runners who experience the runner's high after pushing through exhaustion. What's happening? Their brain is flooding them with endorphins, making pain feel good. This is why the most successful people don't just tolerate discomfort, they train their brain to crave it. You can activate endorphins through intense physical activity, laughter, or even deep breathing exercises. The key is to associate effort with reward so that pushing through challenges feels satisfying rather than draining. Another critical neurochemical is serotonin, which is linked to confidence, status, and a sense of achievement. When serotonin levels are high, you feel powerful, competent, and in control. This is why recognition, social validation, and contribution are so important for long-term motivation. People who lack serotonin often feel stuck, unmotivated, or even depressed. The fastest way to boost serotonin is to reflect on past achievements, visualize future success, and surround yourself with positive reinforcement. This is why elite performers constantly review their wins and remind themselves of how far they've come. It keeps their serotonin levels high, making them feel capable of even bigger challenges. One of the most underestimated chemicals for motivation is oxytocin, the neurotransmitter responsible for connection and trust. Human beings are wired for social influence, which means we are far more motivated when we feel connected to a bigger purpose, a mission, or a supportive group. This is why people who have strong accountability systems, coaches, mentors, or a team stay more consistent than those who go at it alone. Oxytocin is released through physical connection, encouragement, and shared experiences, making teamwork, mentorship, and positive social interactions one of the most effective ways to sustain motivation over the long run. The key to mastering motivation is understanding that these neurochemicals can be activated intentionally Motivation is not something you wait for, it's something you generate. Whether it's dopamine through progress, norepinephrine through movement, endorphins through challenge, serotonin through confidence, or oxytocin through connection, your ability to create unstoppable drive is directly tied to how well you can trigger these brain chemicals at will. Principle 4, emotional leverage. Emotion is the most powerful force in human behavior. It overrides logic, destroys hesitation, and makes action inevitable. When people struggle with motivation, it's never because they don't know what to do. It's because they don't feel emotionally compelled to do it. The secret to unstoppable motivation is emotional leverage, the ability to generate so much emotional intensity around your goals that taking action becomes automatic. Every major transformation in life comes from a shift in emotional intensity. Think about the moments in your life when you made a radical change. It wasn't because you logically decided to do something different. It was because something inside of you snapped. Maybe you finally had enough of your own excuses. Maybe the pain of staying the same became unbearable. Maybe you got a glimpse of what was truly possible and you refused to settle for anything less. In that moment, you didn't just want to change, you had to. This is the power of emotional leverage. When you attach enough emotional weight to a goal, resistance disappears. You no longer have to push yourself to act, the action pulls you forward. But most people never tap into this because they rely on willpower instead of emotional urgency. Willpower fades. Emotion, when properly directed, is an unstoppable force. At the core of emotional leverage are two primary drivers, pain and pleasure. These are the only two forces that dictate every decision you make. You either take action to avoid pain or to experience pleasure. The problem is that most people don't use these forces intentionally. They allow their emotions to be shaped by their environment instead of deliberately structuring their emotions to drive them forward. Pain is the strongest initial motivator. When something hurts badly enough, you move. If you touch a hot stove, you don't hesitate, you pull your hand away instantly. The same principle applies to your goals. When the pain of inaction becomes greater than the pain of action, change happens automatically. This is why people make massive shifts after hitting rock bottom, because the pain of their current reality finally outweighs their excuses. But here's the mistake most people make. They avoid thinking about the pain, they numb it, distract themselves, or pretend it's not there. And because of this, they stay stuck. If you want to create leverage, you have to amplify the pain of not changing. You have to vividly imagine what will happen if you keep procrastinating. What will your life look like in a year, in 5 years, in 10? If nothing changes, what will you have lost? Who will you have let down? What regrets will you carry? You have to make the pain so unbearable that staying the same is no longer an option. But pain alone is not enough. You also need pleasure. A compelling vision that excites you so much that you feel pulled toward it. Pain gets you moving, but pleasure keeps you going. The mistake people make here is setting goals that don't inspire them emotionally. A goal like, I want to make more money is weak because it doesn't trigger deep emotional excitement. But a goal like, I want to create financial freedom so I can take care of my family, travel the world, and live on my own terms is powerful because it has emotion behind it. To make pleasure a driving force, you have to connect deeply with the rewards of success. You need to visualize in detail what your life will look like when you achieve your goals. What will you feel? Who will be there with you? What will you be able to do that you can't do now? The more vividly you imagine it, the more real it becomes, and the more your brain starts to crave it. The highest level of emotional leverage comes from linking your goals to your identity and purpose. People who are truly unstoppable don't just have goals, they have a mission. They don't just want success, they believe it is their duty. They don't see hard work as an option, it's who they are. When you connect your actions to a higher purpose, motivation stops being something you need to generate. It becomes automatic because it's tied to your core identity. Emotional leverage is about taking control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. It's about using pain and pleasure intentionally to create so much urgency and excitement around your goals that action becomes inevitable. When you master this, motivation is no longer something you chase. It becomes a force that drives you forward every single day. Principle 5, momentum and rituals. Momentum is the secret weapon of the highly motivated. It's what separates those who struggle to take action from those who seem unstoppable. Once you get moving, everything becomes easier. The hardest part of any challenge is the beginning, overcoming that initial resistance. But once momentum kicks in, the effort required to keep going dramatically decreases. The key to staying consistently driven isn't willpower or discipline, it's mastering momentum and rituals that keep you in a constant state of forward motion. Momentum is built through small, consistent actions that reinforce each other over time. Most people make the mistake of thinking motivation comes before action, but it's actually the opposite. Action creates motivation. The moment you take that first step, your brain releases dopamine, reinforcing the behavior and making you want to keep going. The more you move forward, the more motivation you generate. This is why the most successful people don't wait until they feel like it. They start, knowing that the feeling will come after they take action. The biggest momentum killer is hesitation. Every time you delay taking action, your brain creates more resistance. You start overthinking, doubting yourself, and losing energy. The longer you hesitate, the harder it becomes to start. This is why high performers develop rituals, structured habits that eliminate hesitation and make movement automatic. Rituals are pre-programmed behaviors that put you into a peak state. They remove the need for decision-making and replace it with automatic execution. Think about elite athletes before a game. They don't just walk onto the field cold. They have a pre-game routine, specific stretches, breathing exercises, visualization techniques that prime their mind and body for peak performance. The same principle applies to motivation. You need rituals that trigger instant momentum every single day. A powerful ritual starts with physiology, the way you move your body. Motion changes emotion. If you've ever noticed how hard it is to stay motivated while slouched on the couch, it's because your body posture directly affects your energy levels. The fastest way to create momentum is to change your physical state. Stand up, move, do a quick workout, take deep, powerful breaths. Your brain is wired to respond to movement, and once you shift your physiology, your mental state follows. Another essential ritual for momentum is priming your mind. Before you start any major task, take a moment to visualize success. See yourself executing with confidence. Feel the excitement of progress. Remind yourself why this matters. The biggest mistake people make is letting their mind drift into distractions, negativity, or self-doubt before they even begin. Instead, you must condition your mind to expect success before you take action. Momentum is also built through small wins. The brain loves progress. Every time you complete a task, no matter how small, your brain releases dopamine, reinforcing the behavior. This is why starting with an easy win first thing in the morning sets the tone for the entire day. Make your bed. Do a short workout. Write down your top priorities. These small wins create a snowball effect, making it easier to tackle bigger challenges. The key to maintaining momentum is eliminating friction and decision fatigue. Every unnecessary decision drains mental energy and slows you down. High achievers automate as much as possible what they wear, what they eat, what time they wake up, so they can focus their mental energy on what truly matters. If you have to decide every day whether to go to the gym, whether to work on your goals, whether to push yourself, you will eventually lose motivation. But if it's a non-negotiable ritual, there's no decision to be made, you just do it. One of the biggest momentum killers is breaking the chain. Every time you skip a day, your brain loses some of the reinforced behavior, making it harder to restart. This is why consistency is more important than intensity. It's better to do something small every day than to do something huge once in a while. A 10-minute workout is better than nothing. Writing a single sentence is better than not writing at all. When you commit to never missing 2 days in a row, you prevent yourself from losing momentum completely. Momentum thrives on identity reinforcement. The more you act in alignment with your goals, the more you see yourself as the kind of person who takes action. This identity shift makes motivation effortless because you're no longer forcing yourself to do something, you're just being who you are. The strongest rituals aren't just habits, they are expressions of your identity. A person who sees themselves as an athlete doesn't have to convince themselves to train, it's simply what they do. A leader doesn't need motivation to take charge, they naturally step up because that's who they are. Momentum is about removing obstacles and making action the path of least resistance. You set up your environment, habits, and rituals in a way that makes success inevitable. Motivation is no longer something you have to fight for. It's something that carries you forward effortlessly. Principle 6, the purpose factor. Purpose is the ultimate fuel for unstoppable motivation. It is the invisible force that drives the most successful and fulfilled people in the world. When you have a strong enough purpose, nothing can stop you, not fear, not fatigue, not setbacks, not even failure. Without purpose, motivation is temporary, fleeting, and unreliable. You might get excited about a goal for a few days or weeks, but when the initial excitement fades, you struggle to stay consistent. But when your actions are connected to a deep sense of purpose, motivation becomes automatic. It's no longer something you have to search for. It's something that pulls you forward every single day. The problem is that most people never take the time to define their purpose. They drift through life chasing short-term goals, making more money, getting in shape, achieving success, without ever asking why it truly matters. And because of this, they lose momentum as soon as they face resistance. A weak purpose leads to weak motivation, but a compelling purpose, that makes you unstoppable. True purpose is never just about you. It's about something bigger than yourself. The most powerful motivation comes from service, impact, and contribution. The people who achieve the highest levels of success don't just work hard for their own benefit. They do it because they feel a responsibility to something greater. They are driven by a mission, whether it's changing lives, inspiring others, making a difference, or leaving a legacy. Their purpose extends beyond personal gain. This is why parents will push through exhaustion to provide for their children, why leaders will sacrifice their own comfort for the success of their team, why visionaries will work tirelessly to create something that outlives them. When your purpose is bigger than you, quitting is no longer an option. The key to unlocking purpose is asking better questions. Most people focus on what they want: more money, a better career, a healthier body, but they never dig deeper into why they want it. The most powerful question you can ask yourself is, what is so important to me that I am willing to endure any challenge to achieve it? Your answer to this question reveals your deepest motivation. It strips away superficial goals and gets to the core of what truly drives you. If your purpose is weak, if it's just about comfort, status, or approval from others, you will give up when things get hard. But if your purpose is deeply rooted in meaning, passion, and a commitment to something greater, nothing will stop you. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they need to find their purpose, as if it's something waiting for them in the future. Purpose is not found, it is created. It is shaped by your experiences, your struggles, your values, and your decisions. It is something you cultivate, refine, and strengthen over time. Some of the most purpose-driven people in the world didn't start with a clear vision. They started by taking action, solving problems, helping others, and over time, their purpose became crystal clear. Pain is often the birthplace of purpose. The struggles you have endured, the hardships you have overcome, these experiences shape your mission. Many of the most driven individuals are those who turn their pain into power, their struggles into service. Someone who battled obesity becomes passionate about helping others get healthy. Someone who grew up in poverty feels a deep drive to create financial opportunities for others. Someone who has faced rejection or failure develops a burning desire to help others believe in themselves. Your greatest struggles often reveal your greatest calling. Purpose also gives you emotional durability, the ability to push through difficulty without losing momentum. When challenges arise, most people focus on the obstacle in front of them. But those with a strong purpose look beyond the struggle and stay connected to their mission. They don't get discouraged by short-term failures because they are playing the long game. They understand that every setback, every failure, every difficult moment is just a stepping stone towards something greater. A powerful purpose also generates energy and enthusiasm. When you are deeply connected to a mission that excites you, you wake up with energy. You don't need external motivation because the fire is already burning inside of you. You become obsessed, not in a forced, stressful way, but in a way that makes you feel alive. When your purpose is strong, even the most challenging tasks become meaningful. Work doesn't feel like work. The effort doesn't feel like a burden. Every action feels like a step towards something extraordinary. Purpose is also the key to long-term fulfillment. Many people chase achievement but still feel empty because their success is not tied to something meaningful. They hit their goals, make the money, gain the recognition, but something still feels missing. That's because true fulfillment doesn't come from achievement alone. It comes from alignment with purpose. When what you do every day is connected to something deeply meaningful, success feels rewarding, not just temporary. If you want to create unstoppable motivation, purpose must be at the center of everything you do. The clearer your purpose, the stronger your drive. The bigger your mission, the greater your resilience. The more deeply you connect your goals to something meaningful, the less likely you are to ever quit. Purpose is the force that makes the impossible possible. At the end of the day, motivation isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. It's built through identity, momentum, emotional leverage, and a purpose so strong that nothing can shake it. When you understand the science behind unstoppable motivation, you no longer rely on fleeting bursts of inspiration. You develop the kind of inner fire that keeps burning no matter what obstacles stand in your way. The truth is, most people never tap into their full potential because they let fear, doubt, or hesitation hold them back. But that's not you. You now know how to take control, how to ignite your drive, shift your identity, rewire your brain, and create momentum so powerful that action becomes automatic. Now, it's up to you. You can take this knowledge and let it sit in your mind, or you can use it to transform your life. The choice is yours. But remember this, your future is not dictated by your past. It's shaped by what you do right now. So ask yourself, what's the next move? What action can you take today that will push you forward? Because once you take that first step, momentum takes over. And when momentum kicks in, nothing can stop you.